Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Game Junction podcast. This is episode 79. Obviously, this is a pre-recorded episode, but how's everything going for you, Brandon?
Pretty good, pretty good. Had had a good weekend, busy weekend, but good
Busy
weekend.
but good
So
weekend.
busy
Was able
but
to see
good.
Godzilla.
Was able to see Godzilla. Super excited about that. I was also able to see Ghostbusters. Something weird happened. I guess we'll just go ahead and kind of dive into that. So this is going to be a little bit of an off the cuff. We're usually live. Um,
Yeah.
I will be at Super Cincy Expo as you're watching this. I will be there, literally be there as this is airing. But anyway, I guess we'll dive into Godzilla a little bit first and maybe talk about some news that's happened a little bit over the weekend and stuff like that. But I was able to see Godzilla and Ghostbusters, which is kind of crazy. So basically, person there knew I was coming, and he gave me I guess they get a spare theatrical poster in case there's like creases, damage, anything like that with shipping for their theater, like the actual posters they put up in the billboard type deals outside.
Yeah.
Um, they gave me that, which is really cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet because I think that's something that probably needs framed, but that's probably gonna be a very expensive frame because that's not like a commercial, uh, well, it is it am I thinking the right word? Would it be a commercial poster? No, it's not a it's not a consumer you can't buy it,
Yeah,
essentially.
it's like an advertising poster.
Yeah, so it's like a promo piece. So that was really nice of them. But I got to watch Ghostbusters after too, so I was gone for a long time, and I had not gotten any sleep the night before. Like I didn't think I was gonna get through Godzilla. I almost fell asleep a couple of times, not because it's a bad movie at all, but I was exhausted. But did during Ghostbusters when it was later, it was weird. I was fine then, wasn't like almost falling asleep. But yeah, so I watched both. We'll talk about Godzilla a bit, but I'll just say with Ghostbusters, big fan. Um, but I was pretty let down with the movie. I thought it was kind of just middle of the road, like not a bad movie. Definitely wouldn't say to not watch it. But it's fine, but it has a lot of problems, and I think it has some pacing issues. Um, the the build up to what would be the climax is just not really there. The climax is not doesn't feel like a climax to me. But it's still like I said, middle of the road is not a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. As a Ghostbusters fan, especially of 1 and 2, and then the video game, which is basically 3, which has been, like, kinda confirmed that that is essentially Ghostbusters 3. Um, it doesn't feel like any of those. Uh, and that video game, I mean, like, that video game, I don't know if you played it, Mark, but it's phenomenal. Like, it's really, really good. It's a great game, and, it basically is Ghostbusters 3. Director of, the Ghostbusters films has talked about that and said, "Yeah, basically 3." Like, that's yeah. So,
Yeah.
it didn't live up to that for me. But I guess we can talk about Godzilla, though.
Yeah, so I know you saw it earlier in the day. I got like a 10 o'clock showing, so I'm leaving the movie theater at like midnight on Saturday night or Sunday morning, however you're looking at it. But it was a very enjoyable film, good, popcorn movie to kinda shut your brain off and just, watch giant monster kaijus fight each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I felt about it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
there was issues with it still, but it was a good movie. Overall, it was a good movie. Definitely enjoyed it. In my opinion, much better than the Ghostbusters film. I thought that we we talked about it. So basically, when you are watching this will be a live premiere. We have a Godzilla video out. Should have Godzilla review out. This is something a little different from the channel. So if you are an OG for Game Junction, you will remember that me and Mark used to cover news and all kinds of stuff back in the day. And we I mean, we still get views on, like, our One Piece video, and that show has been out for a long time now.
The game, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so not even the game, the show, like, we did the on the reveal of that, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah, we still get
Forgot
views
about
on
that.
that. So but if you're an OG, Game Junction viewer, you'll remember that me and Mark used to do, that sort of style of stuff, and it was a lot of fun. It's simplistic but fun, and people seem to enjoy it, so, we wanna get some different stuff out there. Mark's gonna be doing some anime stuff soon, and, that's cool, but yeah, getting back to Godzilla, definitely good. Plot holes, uh, I didn't like the Scar King. Um, what else do I wanna say? I don't know,
I
what
was
else
gonna
do you wanna
say
say besides referencing,
outside of
going to the
kind of what
video?
we already kind of what we already said was to combat the bad human writing they have in these movies, which I feel like kind of carries on to this movie. I feel like the weakest
Mm.
part of it are actually the human characters. They just kind of I still think the writing's weak. They just cut them out of like half the movie, so they're just not there. So to me, that made it a lot more enjoyable.
Well, I don't wanna say it made it more enjoyable to me that I they didn't cut them out because they were there at the beginning,
They're
especially,
there,
and
but
then
as
it
the movie goes on, they become less and less,
100%.
important in the plot or even in the plot like at all. But I felt like as I was watching it, that's the weakest part of the movie. The beginning that they're in the movie, or it felt like later on that they're only there for massive plot dump type thing, and it's like okay, now it's gonna move on to the rest of the story, and it goes back to Kong and Godzilla and everything else that's going on.
Yeah, I as we're talking about this, I was looking at something here where apparently ending explained where it is referencing a new movie. That was one of our things that, I we don't want to give away everything. Definitely watch the video, but I will say there's no post-credit scene. We both sat down and waited. I was the only one left in the there were two other people waiting, and then when they saw that the credits was rolling for a minute, I mean, it felt like it was rolling forever. Like it would not stop. I got a whole like minute and a half recording of the credits scene. Yeah, I put it on my story, and I was
It's
like,
crazy.
"Jiminy Christmas! Like, is this because with some of like the Marvel films and stuff, they'll have like a mid credit screen and then like a post credit screen. So we're so kind of
Yeah.
used to it. We're like so used to a post credits. And we figured that it would lead up to
There's
what's next.
there's like a chance for it because I know I we kind of because the movie obviously feels like it just ends really abruptly with a terrible soundtrack to go with that ending credit scene. But
Yeah. Yeah. And then I mean, I guess one thing that we do know is that there's a lot going on with Hollow Earth, whether or not that will be a part of the next movie, I guess is kind of debatable.
I think
Um,
it has to like because there's
but it,
so much
yeah,
unexplored with that whole world and stuff like that that you could probably dive into. But whether they'll
all
actually take advantage of it, probably not.
I
But
mean, like all of even Skull Island, like there's like a lot of stuff they could do. Like if we're going back and like obviously this is its own timeline and its own thing, but if they
yeah,
were to reference, which they got to, right? These are called Titans, not kaiju in these movies, which I don't like.
I mean they're still
But
kaiju, but
they're still kaiju, but yeah, they call them Titans. Even Suko is a Titan apparently, which I just found out recently. But yeah, it's didn't care for the antagonist too much. I just thought Scar King was kind of weak and not. It didn't seem he didn't seem intimidating. He felt to me he felt like a weaker Kong, which he ended up being because he, you know,
yeah,
sort of is, and we don't want to give away spoilers, but like you see in the trailer some of that, like you could
he's an
tell.
underwhelming villain.
Very I felt very underwhelming. For me, I felt like that might be the weakest point for me. It's hard to say because there's plot holes. I don't think the plot holes bothered me as much because they ended up just really making it like a popcorn kaiju fighting, titan fighting, whatever. Flick, and it was interesting, to see, and like you see in the some of the trailers and the spots with Kong's arm and like what happens with the, all the stuff with that, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Um, it actually, going back, I believe it was a animated series where Kong had a like a robotic arm that they really like dove into and made like where I don't want to say for sure. It's been so long, but I feel like it was able to like shoot missiles and stuff or something. Um, but I can't remember. There's been quite a few Kong animated series. There was one that came out like a few years
I
ago. It was
think
really
there's
bad in CGI. It was
I didn't
really
think it
bad.
was CG. I thought it was I think it was full just regular
There was an
animation.
animated series that was like
But yeah, I
with
think it came out like last year in 2023, Skull Island, which is more of like a side story that I think came out on Netflix that had to deal with the it's technically still in this the same MonsterVerse timeline, but it has to deal with just random people kind of washing up on Skull Island and interacting with Kong and stuff like that.
oh. Oh,
I don't know if that's the one
yeah.
same one you're
No,
talking
this is
about.
not what I'm talking about at all. If you look up, I think it was just called Kong, that anime. It was CGI. It was like straight C it was that terrible,
Yeah, I don't think it's
terrible,
the same
terrible
thing.
CG it's not. No, this was a
And
Netflix
if
show.
you I guess
Um,
if you were
I
really interested, like, this whole MonsterVerse technically has a decently in-depth timeline with
mhm,
2 spin-off
it does.
series. So in, chronological or in-universe series, it obviously starts off with, Kong Skull Island, which came out in 2017, is the oldest. I think it's just after Vietnam.
Mhm.
Then it's this Skull Island, animated series on Netflix that came out in 2023. Then it's supposed to be the 2014 Godzilla. Then it goes Monarch Legacy Monsters, which also came out in
Yes, I
2023, which is the Apple TV series that it's supposed to plug in because it takes place in a wide timeline, I believe so, but it's supposed to like plug in a lot of plot
yeah,
elements within the movies.
I that is the only thing I haven't watched, which is I don't know why I haven't watched it. I should have by
So it's on
now.
Apple TV
Yeah, maybe,
and
yeah,
not
because I've literally never watched anything on there ever, but I do need to watch this. I think that, maybe there's something that we're missing that was plugged in there because that's what it does. That series was meant to plug in the human element into kind of everything that's happening and I think
I feel like
various points through the series, right?
yeah,
Like different timelines.
from what I was looking to as far as, like, if you watch, like, an in-depth lore video on this timeline, I felt like a lot of the actual lore elements and the actual best probably, human writing is in that series because so much of that
Yeah.
series takes place that has such a massive impact on, where even leading up to just the regular Godzilla movie, like, everything in between and what's going on takes place within this I'm blanking on
Yeah.
the name, television show, sorry.
Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Yeah, I feel like we probably did ourselves a disservice by not watching this. Just so like you guys know on the podcast if you are interested, which I am going to go and watch it because I do want to sort of be filled into everything and I know that other kaiju are introduced in the series. I'm aware of some of it. Um but you can watch the first episode for free and you can also get a free trial. Just watch the whole thing and then cancel. So I am probably going to do that. Actually, you know what? I signed up for this thing. I got to remember to cancel. If you cancel it, if you do the thing I normally do when I sign up for something that's paid and then cancel right away, you can't do it with this, but it's just like Apple thing where you get like all of their stuff in one bundle and it's like $36 a month or something. Um, but you get like all their stuff. So I actually have this right now. So I need to watch it. But I think that was probably the main thing. But I know like Kurt Russell is in this series and so that's interesting, but I do know that it introduces other kaiju and it fills in a lot of plot holes. So we probably did do ourselves a disservice because this was pretty much leading up to this film. It looks like it ran from November 17th to December 1st. So I mean, literally a few months before this movie came out,
I didn't even know it
it ended.
existed
Oh well,
before
I knew.
a few days ago.
Yeah, I knew it existed. I feel like maybe I should have said something to you, but I also had not watched it, so
Yeah, because at least in their advertised timeline that I was reading, after that, then it goes just King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs Kong, and then obviously the New Empire after that kind of rounds out this roughly put together timeline.
so All right, say I'm sorry. Say that timeline one more time.
Well, it's weird because I think this Monarch series
Runs through a bit of
spans
all of it.
a lot of these movies, but the timeline that I got off of the Wrap, uh, really quickly, just the chronological in order universe would be Kong Skull Island, Godzilla, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs Kong, and then the New Empire, the one that just came out.
So it's almost like pretty much how it was made,
More or
except
less,
Skull Island, the Skull Island
yeah.
animated
Because
series.
I think,
I
if you wanted to go the release order, it's, Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, King of Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, then it's the Skull Island, TV series, the Monarch TV series, and then the New Empire. So for the most part, it's in order minus some of the older series that take place, in the past that are supposed to, like, fill in the plot, which would mainly be, Kong Skull Island and then the Monarch TV series.
I will say that there is also more of this that's canon other than just that. It's not plugged in there, which I am aware of, and I do own one of them and have not read it, but there are graphic novels that are tied into the MonsterVerse as well. And the one that I have
Yeah.
is Kingdom Kong. But there's a omnibus that has all of them in it, a hardcover collection of all five graphic novels. But there's Godzilla Awakening, Skull Island, The Birth of Kong, Godzilla Aftershock, Godzilla Dominion, and Kingdom Kong. So um, yeah, so there. I mean, this is a pretty diverse. It's got a lot of story to it. So I think that, like, we may have done ourselves a disservice of not watching that, but at the same time, like, you have to be pretty you got to care a lot to want to dive into the
Yeah.
other mediums. Now, the Skull Island TV series, yeah, I mean that fills in some other stuff as well. So I love that they made pretty much everything that has came out for this is all canon, which is cool because that doesn't usually happen for any pretty much any series ever. Like you've got all this stuff that comes out and like none of it's like canon
Yeah.
to any of it.
Because you brought it up, and I think, because while you bring it up, I was looking through some stuff. I believe the character that John C. Riley is Hank Marlowe and John Goodman's Bill Randa character in Skull Island are both those characters are actually in that Monarch TV series, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Unless it actually goes back to their past in Skull Island, which I don't think it does. I believe it's the actual Monarch series that expands those two characters and, like, well, how'd you get here in the first place? Expand, like, everything that actually happened. I believe that happens in that movie, not in that TV series, but that's just more how, like, it expands the lore and how one character played by different people are in multiple series and movies, and it's kind of like spread out and how everything is, like, interconnected.
Yeah, I was counting here. It looks like roughly about 36, give or take, Titans have been introduced, and there's also a variant of two of them. Um, have actually been introduced, like actual Titans, and then there's like a crap ton of other monsters that aren't considered Titans that have been introduced into the series, and then there's super species that have been introduced. And it looks like just a rough guesstimate about probably like 20 super species, which we see right at the beginning of the new empire, one of those species, which was I thought was actually like a really cool intro fight scene like from the movie, but not, yes, that spoilers it first 5 minutes of the movie. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into this monsterverse stuff. And gosh, apparently there's some other stuff. I didn't know this game is absolutely dreadful and very, very expensive, like very expensive. We got a very small print run. I don't know if you know about it, but the Godzilla, it's just called Godzilla on PS4. Do you know about this game that goes for
I do know
set?
about the game.
Okay, it's horrible. So I owned it. I owned it when it came out, and I unfortunately wish I had not sold it because I like Godzilla, but it was bad. It was really bad. I played through it and it was dreadful. Um and I sold it, and it's worth a lot of money now. But anyway, I didn't realize, I must be an idiot or something, but I didn't realize that the MonsterVerse Godzilla was a playable character in it. So that's
Crazy.
kind of
Yeah, I
interesting.
I remember seeing it in the stores, and I'm like, "That just looks like a bad." It looked like a bad game, so
Well,
I never picked it up.
unfortunately, most Godzilla games are bad. Not all of them. There are some fun ones like Destroy All Monsters on GameCube. I guess it's called Destroy All Monsters Melee on GameCube is pretty fun. Um, a lot of them end up being fighting games because obviously the kaiju's fight.
Yeah,
But like there's some we just talked about we didn't just talk about, but in the review how Godzilla, the new Godzilla is in Roblox. Or no, Suko. Suko and Godzilla made it to Roblox. Dang, they're really making it. They're killing it right now.
crazy.
But apparently there is a MonsterVerse video game developed by Hunted Cow Studios called Godzilla X Kong Titan Chasers. It releases on July 31st to PC and I think mobile. Yeah, PC and mobile. Interesting. So, I, if you want some more Godzilla Kong experience, you can check that out. Um, yeah, interesting stuff for
Definitely
sure.
looks like a definitely looks like a mobile game.
It does, but it's gonna be on PC, so you can play it. I don't like mobile.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I
So
probably won't play it, but that's because it just looks like crap. But that's a personal thing.
yeah,
I'm really
that's
picky with my video games. I'm sorry. No way around it.
yeah. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. So what else have we got?
Obviously it's just because how we're the pre-recorded is a little different, so it's not going to be as news heavy as it usually is. But there was something that came out earlier today, actually on Sunday, about where a CDPR came out and said, or the CFO, Pierre Piotr Nebel, I'm butchering that name, but their CFO recently went on the record saying, uh, essentially microtransactions have no place in single player games. So as much as that company has had a lot of bad press, I agree with if it's a single player game, there shouldn't be any microtransactions at all. That's like a free to play or like an online, you know, game type thing. Even as much as I don't like it in those games, I think we're throwing shots at Ubisoft here. If it's a single player game, why do I have to buy for skins in this game? Like that's just scummy, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I obviously don't like microtransactions, and I could say right now I've never bought a microtransaction thing in any single player game ever. I bought DLC and expansion, and that's it. Like
Yeah,
one I still got to get is the Scarlet and Violet. To wrap that up, I need to finish that still. I haven't bought it yet, but I I I almost want to say I kind of disagree because if it's like a skin or something like that that's completely unneeded that you just if you don't care you don't care, it's kind of not like throwing it in your face. It's like, oh, I'm an uber fan of this game, I'm going to be playing it for 200 hours, say like The Witcher, or something that's very long, and you want to do it, then it's there. But if as long as it's not something like the Dragon's Dogma 2 stuff where it's like a fast travel or like something like that, if it's a skin, I don't I don't really care. If you want your character to look better for $1 or different, then okay. Like cuz they've thrown like collaboration skins or something like that in like single player games before. And like if you want that while you're playing your game, then whatever. Like I don't care. It's not in your face. It's not something that's like should already be in the game. I don't care for them, and I have never bought one that I remember. I don't remember ever buying anything like that. But I don't know. I don't like
I disagree.
microtransactions in general, but like if you want your character to look different in your single player game, whatever.
I
However,
see.
however, we used to just get that. Like Spider-Man on the PS1, we used to just get all those skins. You either could use a cheat code to get the skins, or you unlock them somehow, or whatever. Now they're kind of hidden behind a paywall. But if it's like a collaboration that happened later with the game, like, oh, they collaborated with Batman, so now Batman's playable in this game a year later. I mean, how can you really, debate that? That's not something that's baked into the game. Maybe it
I
wasn't
think it is
planned.
debatable. I 100% disagree. If it's single player game, you're the uh this skin took you probably a handful of hours to develop. I'm not paying money for it because I think it's scummy. If it's an online game where there's an online, not only constantly adding new content, but you're playing on a server which constantly adds money, where there's a constant, the company has to constantly shelling out money. I understand that, but in a single player game that I'm playing on my PC, that the bulk of the development is in the main game, and then whatever extra, story content, that's fine, but, like, you don't need that extra money. If you're doing it, you should be doing it just to, here's some new stuff. This is kinda how you get
They
it.
should.
But if you're
Okay.
charging money
Mm.
for it in a single player game that you're not hosting a server for, it shouldn't be in there, and nobody should accept it. I disagree. If there's a skin that's tied into the DLC that you're paying for, that's one thing, but I disagree with when it comes to single player games that microtransactions have any place. I think they absolutely have 0 place in single player games.
Well, I don't like it, and I don't want to be on the side of defending it because I'm not. I'm not going to defend microtransactions at all. I feel like a lot of that stuff should be given in the game, which some companies do. Sometimes they give you, oh, this game's been out for 6 months. Here's a free update. You've got these available to you now. Like, here's a great example with Sony actually. Ghost of Tsushima. They offered way later a free multiplayer mode for the game. There's a multiplayer mode
Yeah.
available. So that was cool. I think it's called Legends. Um, but I mean, yeah, like it should be in the game. You shouldn't have to pay for it. It's
Especially from these larger studios where it's
oh
like,
yeah, oh
you
yeah,
have this money, you've made a crap ton of money. How many millions of dollars have you made? You're just trying to you're greedy and trying to squeeze as much money in for you're trying to gatekeep as much content behind a paywall as possible, and I absolutely hate it.
yeah. I don't like I said. I don't like it myself. Not I'm not a fan. But some people will defend it. I was just trying to play devil's advocate there with that because we've had people defend it on the podcast before, and
There is no defending it.
it's a hot topic that people feel two different ways for. And also, another thing to add into that is that these days it's unfortunate that the generations behind us are they're numb to it. Like they don't know anything else. Do you know what I mean? They didn't experience the generation of not having to worry about that, not having free updates, even when it came to the generation of always being online with PS3 and 360 and Wii. Um
Yeah.
they they don't have that. They don't have that experience of the cash grabs and the stuff like that. So, I mean, that part is unfortunate, truly unfortunate, but yeah, I at the end of the day, I do agree that it shouldn't. It doesn't have a place. It really does. And who was it that said this?
CDPR's CFO. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name because I can't say it.
We butcher so many names on this podcast. So many, so many. Uh yeah, I like I said, don't agree with it. So
Now he
um
did come out and say that they're working on a multiplayer game, and he wasn't going to rule that out as far as like when it comes to multiplayer games. But as far as single player games, like it has no place in these games. Multiplayer is a little different, especially when you're playing on a server, that costs money to run constantly and stuff like that. That's one thing. Uh, as long as it's only cosmetic and it's not you know $60 for a skin type thing, we just clearly ripping somebody off.
yeah.
But you take the good with the bad.
Yeah. We do have some sad news that was reported actually yesterday that I saw this. Chance I'm making sure I'm saying his name right. Chance Perdomo, I believe it is. It could be Perdomo. I can't remember. But he was in Gen V, and what I know him from is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I loved that show. I think they did that was a great reboot of that franchise that did the darker side of things, and I thought was really cool. But unfortunately, he was in a motorcycle accident. No one else was involved with it, and he did pass. There was a statement made. It is with heavy hearts that we share the news of Chance Perdomo's untimely passing as a result of a motorcycle accident. Publicists said in a statement authorities have advised that no other individuals were involved. His passion for the arts and insatiable appetite for life was felt by all who knew him, and his warmth will carry on in those who he loved dearest. We ask to please respect the family's wish for privacy as they mourn the loss of their beloved son and brother. He was, pretty young, so 27, younger than us, and that's that's
Unfortunate.
yeah, sucks. We've had to it seems like report on a lot of deaths here recently, but um born in 96, plan was originally to go into law, but he instead moved to London to pursue acting and joined the National Youth Theater. But yeah, he was, I guess, most well known for the Gen 5, which I have not watched. But he was in a few other things such as After We Fell, Moomin Valley, After Every Happy, and After Everything. The Gen 5 second season has been delayed indefinitely following the tragic news because he was a big part of that show. I'm very
Yeah,
aware
it's
of it.
unfortunate.
I just have not I haven't watched it. I haven't had a lot of time to watch things. I've had to be very, very, very selective with anything I've watched. This Godzilla was only the second thing I watched this entire year. Last year, I think I watched three things the whole year. So, but yeah, sad news there. So, all respects to the family and best wishes to them. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I will say I have been seeing a lot of stuff. About Dragon's Dogma 2. A lot of people really kind of on the defensive side. Um, there's been, some statements made afterwards about the fast travel business, and I mean, you apparently. So I haven't played it. I don't want to say this wrong because I don't want to pee people off. I had a short go semi viral, had like 400,000 views or something, and tons and tons and tons of comments. And apparently, I want to confirm this, but apparently you can unlock the fast travel. But from what we understood, is that the creator of the game said it didn't make sense. Like it took away from the experience. So I'm a little
It
confused here.
There's no defending pain for fast travel. If it's unlockable, it should be only unlockable throughout the story. The fact that they offer it at all as a microtransaction should be shamed.
Well, all right. So let me. I don't like to read a lot of articles, but I'll reference this one from this is Digital Trends. So this guy said that Dragon's Dogma 2 changed how he looked at fast travel in video games. He said, I never had a reason to give much thought to fast travel in games before starting Dragon's Dogma 2. In most open world games that include the feature, the only requirement for accessing it is reaching points of interest, which is true. We discussed, like, that makes sense,
Yeah.
to be able to explore the world first before you just straight up have fast travel. Because I feel like that does probably take away the experience from most games if you just get it right off the bat. But he said, that it isn't how it operates in the game. Fast travel is based around a limited currency called fairy stones. So that was one of the things in the comments of the short that I had. Well, I guess technically real, was that you were buying fairy stones to fast travel. You weren't buying fast travel, but it's like the same thing, right? Like it's the same concept. You're buying a currency to pay for the fast travel. But he said that the game is slow and steady. He said he didn't even find the requisite item, the fast travel, until hours into the playthrough. But by then, my mindset around navigating the world had been established. My first few adventures in Dragon's Dogma 2 felt somewhat similar to my first Souls game in the sense I fell into the trap of approaching it like a more traditional open world RPG to disastrous results. My initial big mistake was underestimating the nighttime. So I have heard that the nighttime in this game is absolutely brutal. Um like like very very brutal is what I've heard. And
Yeah.
in general, it kind of sucks because I really was looking forward to this game, and I'm like on the fence of gr buying it or not. Like, I
And
think
you could
that
just
I
wait,
wanna wait for a
wait till it.
sale.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at. Like, I really wanna play it still because like, I've watched some gameplay um, I I've watched some bigger names talk about and stuff like Moist Critical and things like that, and, like, it does I don't know how much gameplay you've watched of it, but, like, it does look like a very good game. It just seems like there was maybe some missteps, and the microtransaction stuff is silly. Whether that converts to an in-game currency to then pay for said thing doesn't matter. So
Should have been no in
microtransactions.
a $70 game. There should be no microtransactions.
Yeah, it's a $70 game, um, which is standard price now. I just, you can't really defend that because it's changed video games forever because it's
Only
er,
if you pay the $70 price tag.
yeah, I mean it's still changed video games whether you pay for it or not. Like that's
Well, if
a
literally nobody
you could
paid
look
for a
back to
$70
the
game, it would force them to go away from that model.
yeah, but that's not going to happen. Like we talked
Because too
about
many people
earlier,
that'll
that
just pay it.
generations before us know nothing else. They know nothing of a game with no microtransaction. You know what I mean? Unless it's like actually a AAA game that does it right and there aren't any. But like even for instance, Ghost of Tsushima, there's stuff that you can buy there that's a single player game. They added on that multiplayer mode for free, but there's still like stuff there. Like
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of something that's single player where there isn't microtransactions other than pretty much anything that's Nintendo. Like that's the only one that Nintendo has dabbled in that, but not a lot. And most of it's been DLC or expansion, like an
Yeah.
expanded story or something like that. I'm struggling to think of something right off the top of my head. Can you think of anything like in the recent 4 years that is single player with no microtransactions?
I was trying to think, but immediately now without like verifying.
See, that's sad. It's sad.
It's
So,
Bethesda ruined gaming forever with their damn horse armor.
oh god, yeah. Oh
It's
god.
where it all started. Everything traces its roots back to Bethesda being greedy.
Which sucks because I mean, like I've said this multiple times. Skyrim is not my favorite Elder Scrolls game. It just isn't. I like it. Not a bad game at all. I know people that played through that game hundreds of times. You know, it's been on every platform ever. Literally everything. It's kind of like GTA and Minecraft in that aspect that it's like literally on everything. At this
Yeah.
point, I feel like it can play on a potato because it's not like a
Alexa, play Skyrim.
exactly.
Uh, Alexa, eat 30 cheese wheels.
Oh man, yeah.
That was a good video. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, what video did I miss?
When Bethesda made fun of it, you can play on everything, and they made the video. I don't know what. I thought it was one of the E3s. Whether like they made the video with I can't remember the name of the comedian who plays Alexa or who plays Skyrim on as Alexa. Pretty much, it was just it's like
Was it
Skyrim,
Bill
but it's
Burr?
pretty. No, it wasn't Bill Burr.
Okay, I don't know
Bill Burr
then.
probably knows absolutely nothing about video games.
Oh no, he does. He does. He knows about video. I've dove a lot into. I like. I'm a big comedy fan too. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm really into stand
Yeah,
up
so
as well.
it was at the E3 2018 is when they shared it.
Oh, that's really loud.
Oh, it's a Michael Key.
I don't even know
or
who that is.
Keegan Michael Key. He's a comedian.
Keegan Michael Key. I don't know. I'd have to look up, but yeah, yeah. So interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, just one
I'm
of those
just
fun
not.
things. But I know you bring that up, but apparently this year is going to be the Elder Scrolls 30th anniversary from when it first came, when Elder Scrolls Arena came out in '94. So Elder Scrolls has been around for 30 years now.
Dang, making us feel old. We're 30, so it came out when we were just born. Interesting.
Never played some of these games, but have you ever gotten around to playing any of the older games?
Yeah, I have. I actually had the Elder Scrolls game on the N-Gage, which was Pockets. I'm trying to think here. I have to look up. I think it had an extended name. I think it was Elder Scrolls Pockets. Travel to yeah, okay. Elder Scrolls Travel Shadow Key, which is a very expensive game now. It's like
Yeah,
the most sought after for and there's some. I'll tell you what, the Engage is a good platform. I love the system, and it is obviously notorious for being doubled as a cell phone, right? It's a cell phone that takes cartridge video games. It's insane, but there's some cool
it is
stuff on
crazy.
there. Tomb Raider's on there. There's Sonic N. Um, there's a game called Pathway to Glory that's an RTS and a lot of fun. There's a lot of good Engage games. Do you know anything about the Engage?
I've never played it before my time of having money or knowing, being super into gaming.
Well, I mean I obviously got it later. I didn't have a cell
Yeah,
phone in 2004, 2005, whatever. I didn't get a cell phone until I started running cross country, so I could call my parents to pick me up. That's when I got one. I think my
yeah, it's
sop
crazy.
the end of my I think towards the end of my sophomore year I got one. What I mean, it's not crazy for the well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people had them. I even remember in middle school at the time, and I parents wouldn't let me. And then I got
Yeah,
a prepaid. What were they called?
like a
Oh,
Nokia or something like that.
it was a it was a Nokia, but I forget what like the prepaid. I can't
You just
remember
you go to
of
the
that
store, you
time.
buy minutes and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yep. Had to buy minutes. Had to do that. Did you know that's still a thing? Like
That
minutes is still a thing.
yeah, I think it still is, which is crazy because like everyone's gone the whole unlimited route. But I mean, I think of having to buy minutes. I'm like that is like a 10, 15, 20-year-old thing at this point is what it feels like.
I it's older than that. I mean, because there were cell phones and technically like cell phones and cars. I don't know if you know about that the car cell
Yeah,
phones, but they called them like phones in a bag. Um,
which
so,
you could literally beat somebody with. That's how big and heavy it was.
yeah, I'm looking at them now. I've always wanted to stumble across one at a thrift store or something because they go for a lot of money, and I just think
But
it's cool.
you gonna put it in your car and be like, hey, hang on, let me open my middle console and call somebody,
I am going
extend
to
it.
go. Yes, I'm going to go pick up a girl on a date. Be like, oh, sorry, I have to take a business call real quick on the way to the movie theater, and I
No, you need
unzip
to
my
sell, sell,
bag.
sell, sell, sell.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. You need to make that work. Uh, pull out my bag phone, take the call, and then we make our way to the theater. But no, they're so cool. I mean, like that concept. They look of the time, and I love it. No Nokia bag phone, so awesome.
Yeah, but
But
no, no, I
yeah,
was looking back and I think I've actually played I think Arena is the only game I haven't at least tried to play.
I played it.
I
Yeah,
have played Morrowind, and it's definitely some of these older games have just not aged well.
I like so
From a lot of the other
that's my
stuff, like, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I like some of the added benefits of knowing where I'm going just because it saves me time. I don't have, you know, 3 months during the summer just to play a game constantly and kinda figure stuff out, but I have played Morrowind and Daggerfall. I think Daggerfall is far more brutal of a game than Morrowind is, even without the added benefit.
So there was a point in time where I was like really, really, really into the Elder Scrolls series, which I still like it now. Like I'm really looking forward to the next one. But I like emulated a bunch of like older kind of I guess you would call them spin-off games because that Travel Shadow Key was just one of several of the travel series, and
Yeah.
I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the other games. There's a few more. Let me check. So we got Stormbold and Dawnstar. So I had to emulate these because
Oh yeah.
they are but they're phone games
Yeah.
of that time, like ones that you essentially you just can't get now. Um but I've emulated a bunch of like some like the spin-offs and things like that. So like I really got into the series like that. But I m- Oblivion is my favorite. Oblivion's my favorite, and then I think Morrowind would probably be second for me. Some of the very early games, like I said, I played Arena. I think it's a fine game. It's good. It's good for being a DOS game. Played Daggerfall, played Battlespire. What else is there?
I don't remember if it was in like
Red Guard. Played
yeah.
Red
I
Guard.
don't I don't
I
remember if this mechanic was in Daggerfall or not, but the one thing I definitely hate about Morrowind is swing and then you miss with the D&D mechanics. I thought I
yeah.
absolutely hated that aspect of that game where it's like it's a sword. It's one thing if it's a spell or something like that, but it's like I'm sitting right next to you, swing a sword, oh you missed. I'm like that just drove me up a wall when I played that game.
I feel like it's one of the charms of the game
I
to
think it's
me.
one of the things that like oh this game has aged terribly. I'm like yeah, Skyrim's combat has its problems, but it's not like it's completely terrible combat. It's just too
It's a
limited.
buggy freaking game. Even the anniversary edition, they did a lot of work to that. I don't know if you played
I've
like
never
the
ran
newest.
into like most of these bugs. I've never ran into like a
Oh
major
man.
bug when I
Oh,
played
I have.
Skyrim.
I played it at launch, man. I'm telling you,
From the
it was a buggy
360
mess.
to the anniversary edition, outside of the launch, like you just don't really run across any bugs in the game anymore.
Well, maybe not anymore, but I mean, I played it at launch and it was a
From my understanding, that's the only time it was like a super buggy mess was at launch.
I don't
For
it's
the most part,
I
it's been
played
fixed
on
since then.
I bought it again on Switch and then just recently learned it has a PS5 native version too, which I may get. I saw that it was like $30 or something, which this is such an old game. $30 feels like a lot to lay down for a game that I played on multiple platforms. Played on 360 and PS3, played on PS4. Or no, hold on. Sorry. Played it on Xbox One, and then bought it for Switch. And then the anniversary edition came out, which made me angry because I don't have it physically. Um,
It just
and
adds mods to it that you could get online for free. Is really all it does.
yeah, if you're a PC player, well, I still gotta order my
At
PC and in the
at this
works. But
point, if you're gonna play like a game like Skyrim, you'd be better off just getting it on PC because not only do you have like the unofficial patch, which literally fixes every single bug that Bethesda refuses to fix at this point, which is frustrating. But there's hours or hundreds of hours of content that you could just download online for free that add whole new quests, whole new regions, all new gear, completely changes the way the game can be played. You could play Skyrim like a Dark Souls game essentially. You can mod it to that level. You can make it look like a current gen game, which is really what has kept that game going, the ability to
yeah,
mod it. But at this point, like you play the base game, so much. You're like, I need something new at this point if I want to
well,
play it.
they remastered it and did the special edition, which was a remaster, and they did fix a lot of stuff. But that was frustrating too because that's the one I played on Xbox One. That was the special edition. It was a remaster, and then they did the anniversary edition, like you said, mods and stuff. They did
I
rework it
believe
and retool it some as well.
I
And
think when I remember it coming out, the special edition as far as PC goes, the only major change was I think it went from that's the version that went from 32-bit to 64-bit, meaning you could essentially not run into issues when you're modding the game at that point.
did
That was
you?
really the only major PC change is the ability to mod the crap out of the game even more without running into issues when you play it.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the PC front, but I do know because I remember reading about this. The GOG is the only DRM free version of the game,
Platform.
so yeah, it's the
Yeah,
best.
because GOG refuses to
DR
add DRM to the
Yeah.
game.
So, I mean, if you want to buy it, like that's the way to as we've discussed, DRM is not, it's not good. You don't own the game. It's another
Well,
license deal.
DRM doesn't do anything when you as far as combating piracy as well. It literally doesn't stop
It
you from
does
pirating the
nothing.
game.
It does nothing. But
It's like the smallest road. It's like a pebble on the road. Oh, a
yeah,
slight little bump.
that's one reason I love GOG is they're very much in support of DRM free games, which I think
Yeah.
is great because PC, as we know, the PC landscape is different because PC players basically not everybody. I do know some people that still get disk drives now, but for 95% of PC players, probably I'm just gonna throw a number out there. Um, don't have a disk drive, and also they PC players just gave up on physical a long time ago. So it's like it's a weird discussion and debate, and I actually wanted to talk to you about this on the last podcast. But if you're a PC gamer and a console gamer like me, like I don't play PC games a lot because I'm running a laptop at the moment, um, in the process of getting a desktop, but I do a little PC gaming on there, and it is a weird sort of thing if you're into consoles and PC that you're just totally okay with digital only with PC,
It's
but
been digital only for over a day, like probably 10,
that's
15 years at this point.
right. So like that's kind of
But
what I wanted
I'll
to
say this,
discuss.
memory was really never an issue when it came to the game. I could have 10 terabyte hard drives that all just have downloaded games on it. Like just plug it in and play a game at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it
I
was
mean,
always
people
different.
literally sell hard drives that are full of retro games and stuff for you to play. Like
Yeah,
RGT85 has done a bunch of videos of companies that compile. They don't just straight throw the games on there. Basically, they build like their own system menus and ways to navigate, and all the games are
yeah,
organized by system and stuff like that. So like you could go on eBay right now and buy the anywhere. AliExpress especially. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like that's been a thing for a long time for PC, but for console, we care to the bitter end, and um, we're both physical collectors. Like we could see your stuff back there that we do prefer physical media, but it's like for me, even as I order the desktop, I'm like thinking to myself, like I've already built up a pretty big collection of claiming free games every single month on all these platforms for years now. I mean, I've done it for years, and then I already have a Steam catalog of games I bought from sales throughout the years. Not a big one, um, because I don't know. I started buying the Steam games before I even bought this gaming laptop, because the sales. Some of the sales are just
yeah,
ridiculously low. And like I always say, even for consoles, like if a game is priced at like $2 on a sale, and I want to play it, like I'll grab it digitally for that cheap. But if it's something I really, really, really like, then I'll grab a physical later or something. But it's typically that I don't buy many digital games at all.
yeah.
I just
I'd
don't
say
buy that
this
many.
as far as like if you're into like, I think the other big reason is if you're into preserving or wanting to play old games, it's existed on PC forever when it comes to both legal and illegal emulation.
Yeah,
It's just rampant and very easy. Obviously, you need a good ROM of the game. You need a decent emulator, but emulation of like every console of most games has been existed on PC for so long. So it's like if you can't get the game, it's like well yeah, but get a controller, figure out a control scheme, download an emulator, get the ROM, and you can essentially play whatever game you want is kind of
yeah,
like the workaround. So it might be
yep,
all digital, but there are places out there that care about preserving games. You might not physically own the original version of the game, but you can more or less find a way to play said version of it. Might not be the most ideal way, but you can still there are ways to play games just because you know it's out there. You're never gonna get rid of when it comes to video game piracy.
right, yep. I mean, yep. That's how it is. That's how it is. Did you look at I sent to you. So I did a video quite a while ago of the 3DO ODE optical drive emulator. So Pixel made this ODE that's external. Normally, an ODE has to be kind of built into the system. Um, Typically, you're taking out the disk drive and replacing it with something that will play an SD card and be able to
Yeah,
run with the system. so that you're playing on original hardware. Well, I did a review on this, and it's amazing. Such a good device, and like, you know, optical drive emulators are still emulators. A lot of these um, are open source. They get firmware updates, but it's emulation that's more along the lines of FPGA, like playing the game how it actually plays on the disc. Like with the ODE for the 3DO, I have not noticed a single thing personally that I could tell the difference with playing straight from the disc. It does such a good job, and it's one of the few external ones out there. It's so cool. Most of them you have to, take out that disk drive, completely remove it from your system to be able to put that in. But this one's a totally an external unit, and it only works because the Magnavox 3DO has a serial port adapter on the back. So this genius was like, "Oh, we can plug this in. This the serial port drive is able to read everything because it was used for the memory unit. Like you could buy an extended memory unit, kind of like buying a hard
Yeah.
drive. Um, so like that, it's just phenomenal. But I sent to you the PCFX ODE that he made. Did you see that? Because we were
Yeah,
talking
I
about
think I
that.
did.
Yeah, so that is really cool. So I was telling you that there was an option for that. I just thought that was really awesome. So like if you do end up grabbing that at some point, like that's pretty viable option. I mean, it's not cheap, but when in comparison, like you look to all the games that you would probably want to grab for it, you can throw every single game on this, plus homebrew, plus demo, not demos, plus what am I trying to say here? Homebrews and beta builds of the games and like pretty much everything, right? And I heard a rumor that there are some like anime that can be played on the PCFX ODE. Like there's that have actually been made. So it's like really interesting that that's the case because like it's notorious for the anime visual novels, but there are I think I sent you one or two. There's quite a few like good games on the system too. But what's great about this is, we talked about this was on the PCFX was only released in Japan. Well, there's a ton of English translations that you can throw on this to play those games. Tons. Like there's
Yeah.
there's a community of people that have wanted to get all of these translated because they were never brought here. So that is so cool that people do that. More power to them. I unfortunately would never have the time. Maybe years ago, if I knew Japanese, I could do so. I'm sure that there are like AI. I just moved my monitor. Sorry, audio listeners. um I'm sure that there are like potentially like AI things that could assist now with this sort of thing, which would be really cool. And they can just go in and fix what maybe the AI made sound weird or didn't translate completely correctly. But I never thought about that actually. That's a pretty See, like, it can be a cool assistant tool, if used correctly.
Yeah, it
So,
can.
but, yeah, this is, PCFX, ODE. You can order that on
Yeah.
3do.dev. Shout out to Fixel on that one.
Now, I did have a question. I know you're into fighting games. Have you played Tekken 8 at all?
Man, I haven't yet. I am waiting on a sale, so I have been wanting to play. Normally, I would buy these day one, but I've had to unfortunately just be very selective of what I can buy on day one. I love Street
Yeah.
Fighter. I love Mortal Kombat. Um, I went to Walmart and they marked down Street Fighter 6 to $30. It was sold out. When I had went there before, there
Of
must
course
have
it
been like
was.
10 copies of it. So somebody bought probably imagining that somebody bought all of them up. Here's why. I look over in the other cases. I've been wanting to buy I have one and I don't know where it's at. I bought it at launch of the PS5. I bought all the accessories. I've had every PS5 accessory, like official accessory, except the new Pulse headset. Unfortunately, my Pulse headset that's what I used on the podcast before. Now I'm using this cheap headset. I used the PlayStation one for the longest time on the podcast, as you know, and the rubber has just ripped so much where it's completely off and just hanging on the inside. So all you see is the foam, so I can't use it anymore. But I saw that they marked down the media remotes but just my Walmart at least. I don't know if this was. I'm assuming it's probably wasn't everywhere because I see people post deals in groups all the time that my Walmart doesn't have. They marked them down to $15, and I know before that they had like I had like 10, at least 10 of them sitting in there. They were all gone. I would have, even though I know I have one, I have no idea where it's at for that price. Um, I'll be straight up. I probably would have bought all of them too, and maybe
Resold
flipped
them for
them.
like $40 or something like that.
But I did, yeah. So they also had, and there was two there, and the same deal. There was a lot of them. The HD, the cameras, because I've got one on my TV over here right now. I leave it on there at all times. I've used it maybe 5 times, maybe, um, like early on. And
Yeah.
anyway, those were marked down to 25, and they sell pretty regularly for like 45 bucks. I think they're $60 MSRP. So like I was looking at sold listings, and I was seeing them sell around like $45 or so or whatever. And I think that might have been used. So maybe around like 50 new. I don't know, on the secondhand market, but I saw them for 25 and I did not grab them. And I'm wondering if I should go back and grab them or if they'd even be there. But anyway, that went on to the topic of Tekken 8 and onto a long
Yeah.
tangent. No, I have not gotten to play it yet, and I am waiting on a sale. I've just had to make the decision with some games to wait on a sale. I really want to play it though. So
Yeah.
why do you ask?
So I brought that up because apparently on Saturday, yesterday,
A new character,
uh
right?
no. So the
Okay.
director of it, Katsuhiro Harada, if that's how you say his name properly, responded to some people tweeting at him, asking them, "Hey, can you get a Waffle House stage in this game?" Apparently, enough people tweet at him, so he's like, this is from his tweets. He's like, "Okay, I will only ask about this request. Why do some communities send me requests for Waffle House?" It's pretty much like asking why you want a stage like this in the game. And this definitely feels like it's a US. I don't think Waffle House is only in the US
Yeah,
specific community. It's like they just see a Waffle House in the background. It's like this is the perfect stage
I can
for people to fight in because
I can tell you
you go to
why.
Waffle House when you're drunk or when you're got hungover, you're trying to eat it. Seems like a trashy fast food place
I could
type
tell you
thing.
exactly why, because I don't know if you remember this incident, but a employee attacked a person over the counter there and they got in a fight. That's why it was like national
Yeah, I do
news
remember seeing
because
that
he
video
jumped over
with
the
that one
counter.
because one of the customers like threw a chair at somebody and she just like grabbed it out of the air and just threw it down. And I was like,
Yeah. I could see why. And then another thing that Waffle House is pretty notorious for, um, is like there's a video of a hardcore band a band playing there. So Waffle House is pretty notorious for bands wanting to play there. Like it's like a thing in like the music community. And recently, cannot remember what big band. It was either Sum 41 or Blink 182. I think it was Blink 182. But one of them played at a Waffle House and recorded it, and you can watch it on YouTube. I
it's
cannot
crazy.
remember who, but yeah, Waffle House is notorious for people going after shows, especially in like the hardcore community. It's like a thing. Like you go there, uh, hardcore. If you go to a hardcore show, you know they're brutal. If you get near the stage, expect to get hit in the face, have a broken nose. It's a brutal community. Well, not brutal community. It's a great community, but like hardcore shows, they do the flip kicks and side kicks and everything. It's like a whole thing. So this is hilarious, and I am on board.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy because
I would I
apparently
would play it.
he has like a over 100,000 likes on his tweet, which is crazy.
Oh
But
no way.
it's crazy. But for those of you who've never been to a Waffle House, you definitely need to go. Go there like 2 a.m. as you're coming home from like the bar or the club, and you need like some greasy food where the cook's like smoking over top of like
I was
whether
gonna
they're
say,
grilling.
yeah,
It
they're
adds
always
the
like
atmosphere, the taste.
they're always, yeah, always, whether they're outside or something, whatever. You always see somebody smoking. So yeah, 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 yeah. I'm on
Can't go
board.
wrong there. It's great food. I love eating there.
I will say, and I don't know why. I can't say why. So this is obviously a pre-recorded episode, but Billy the Hatcher, and I think I see why now. I don't know if this is reference to something happening, but Billy the Hatcher is trending on Twitter X. Uh, the, Sega basically just put out a picture saying Happy Easter with Billy the Hatcher. The reason I think that this is trending is because they've done nothing else with Billy the Hatcher. It's a very cult classic game. It's a great game. I got it as a kid on the GameCube, and it's a really, really fun Sega game. Um, it's one that Sega has never really done anything else with. So the fact they chose Happy Easter with Billy the Hatcher versus doing like a Sonic thing. It's pretty funny. But it looks like they did on March 27th do a Sonic post with the plush that says Happy Cherry Blossom Day. So obviously in Japan that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
But that is trending on Twitter, and of course it's pre-recorded, so by the time that you're listening to this, that won't be the case. But I do see. I'm not sure why. Maybe you do, but I also see Anthem and Suicide Squad trending as well. So I'm not sure on that.
crazy.
Anthem. What's Anthem trending for? Um. Yeah.
Always hard to tell.
Yeah. I guess as something in reference to somebody put out strongholds in the Suicide Squad game should have taken a leaf out of the Anthem's book. Custom zones, fresh objectives, epic bosses, and exclusive loot. I don't know, man. Anthem failed. I don't know what you'd take out of the book of a game that failed.
Yeah, that's yeah. I have no idea, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know either. It does look like that. One thing I can mention. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything, but Game Informer's best game of all time bracket came out yesterday and has been completed. That is something they've been doing. And after 200,000 fan votes, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time won for best game of all time. And I cannot disagree to that. It was my favorite game of all time for many, many, many years until Breath of the Wild came out. So Ocarina of Time has taken the spot of my third favorite game of all time now, which people might get mad at me for saying that, but whatever. I love Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, so I've got a little order there, and my top three are Zelda games. I just, Ocarina of Time. Have you ever played it? I kept trying to get you to play it back in the day, but
Played a little bit of it, but
you played a
I
little
wasn't the
with
biggest fan of it.
me back
Yeah,
then, but I don't remember your reaction. I remember you were playing it. Like
I
we
think
were
it's an okay game, but it's a game that if you ask me has aged poorly. Just
that
being a N64 game, the
that
control scheme
is
is god awful.
so Ocarina of Time 3D fixed a lot of that, and that is, I mean, it's almost on the level of being a remake. They redid everything. Everything is redone. Like, it is the best way to play. Anytime that I go back to play it, it's that. It looks great. You can turn the 3D off. You don't have to play it 3D. It does give some depth to the game, but they redid all the visuals. I mean, completely redid everything. Like, Link even like slightly looks different. Like, that's how much they did to the game. It's actually shocking. But if you were to, you've talked about the Zelda franchise for a while. For you and for me, when I play, I go back to Ocarina of Time 3D now, and it's a great way to play. Notoriously being the best way to play. I haven't heard anybody ever say that it's not the best way to play. They fix a lot of issues that the original had, which I think the original is amazing. But it's more streamlined, um, and it's just great. It's great. The visuals are great, especially for being on the 3DS. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Ocarina of Time just has such a massive story to it. Like, most Zelda games have a story, but as you know, with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, story is kind of taken a sidestep to the gameplay and the actual, the world. The story is there, but you gotta kind of dig for some of it. Like, you have to get the memories if you want to like see everything that's happened and what's going on. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like, you have to collect those. I think they're called memories, right? In Breath of the Wild.
yeah, which
That
is
you
not my favorite type of gameplay
Yeah.
personally. I kind of wish they went away from it, but
Yeah, it's not my
it's
favorite.
not terrible.
But but also game did a lot right and like really
Yeah.
innovated for the series. And like every open world game is trying to take a cue from Breath of the Wild at this point. Like when Breath of the Wild came out, we got a bunch of clones. Like we got the Phoenix, what's it called? That Ubisoft game. I can't remember. That's like identical to Breath of the Wild. And then that big game that people still play that's like an anime style game that's free to play.
You think you're talking Genshin
Genshin
Impact?
Genshin Impact took a cue. I
That's
mean,
a game all its own at this point, though.
it is at this point, but at the beginning when it launched, like, oh, this is a Breath of the Wild clone. If you want more Breath of the Wild, play this. That's how it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's why I played it. And I played like 5 hours of it and I was like, yeah, this isn't really Breath of the Wild for me. And like I get it. I totally get why people like that game, but it's just not
Yeah.
for me. It's evolved into its own thing way past being a Breath of the Wild clone at this point, but it does take a lot of cues from the game. And a lot of open world games do now. Like they want to kind of mimic the Breath of the Wild sort of style of open world, because open world, it's been around for a while, but that really, I mean, it really just did open world right. Like I love it. I love that open world in those games, especially Tears of the Kingdom. Um, I think with the added stuff to Tears of the Kingdom as far as the abilities, there's so much to do in that game, man. There's just so much that you can do. I see people that literally just play the game to build, which is not something I'm good at. I can't build worth a crap in the game. Like
Yeah.
you find those areas where you can build and it has the stuff there for you, and I can never build anything right to use. So I think I finally got the thing. I'm still playing. I haven't finished it yet. Um, I am playing through as I can with all these other game releases, and I said I am going to take my time with this game and enjoy it. So I do. That's what I do. I take my time with it. I could have, with the amount of hours I have into it, I could have beat the story a long time ago. But I started the game and I was just exploring and having fun with it. I didn't just go straight through the story. To me, a game
Yeah.
like that I was so excited for and had been looking forward to for so many years. I was like, I'm going to take my time with this because I want to do everything except all the Korok seeds. Like
Those are waste
I
of
want to,
time.
yeah, I want to do all the deaths, everything with the sky. Uh, I have made my way through a lot of the deaths, even though still at like I think I'm at like 140 hours into it. Uh, there's still points of the depths that I can't take on because I'm not strong enough. I haven't gotten enough through the story. I think I've
Yeah.
completed two of the bosses. I did. I can. So I stopped. I streamed it. The last time I played it, I defeated that fire boss. I can't remember his name. Um, but yeah, I defeated the fire boss on stream.
Crazy.
Took me about 16 tries, but I did it. It was a good time for people watching the stream though. They really enjoyed it.
Definitely.
What?
Do you remember the old Blades dashboard on Xbox on the 360?
I sure do.
So I got an Xbox 360 at the end of its life, so I never saw this, but there was a pretty both sad and humorous. So it was apparently a few days as of Sunday, 2 days ago when we were recording this. It was posted on Reddit apparently that somebody managed to snag a Xbox 360 Arcade Edition, boxed open but still factory sealed. That for I think it was like 175 pounds, it's about a little over $200 USD.
Mhm.
Uh, Completely working order with that UI, and then they immediately accidentally connected it online. It updated, and the dashboard went away.
Oh no. Why would you do that?
I have no
Oh
idea.
my god. Why would you do that with a brand new 360?
So
Oh
yeah,
man, that's a big mistake.
apparently they put in into Halo Reach and was given a prompt for an update, and they just without thinking hit yes, and it just updated the whole UI, the whole software, everything.
Man, the goals for some people is to get a 360. It's never been connected up. It's hard to find. I mean, everybody connect you.
Yeah.
Yeah, every
You pretty much have
game
to
wanted
find
you
one that
to.
was never hooked up. It's essentially almost like brand new, pretty much at this point.
You basically have to find somebody that's Amish because that's the only person that wouldn't have connected it to the internet.
But I saw that, I was like, I
Terrible
never
joke.
dealt with it, but oh, that's That's rough. You talk about an old 360 at that point, and then just
Yeah.
a simple mistake, and then like 'cause I was looking around a little bit. Most people just because it's something old, you can't have it anymore. So like if you can
Mhm.
find it, that's great. And then at that point, you just have to not hook it up to the internet,
Yeah.
or else you don't want to risk it going away because I guess that's why you would have it in the first place.
Yeah, people I mean, people specifically go after 360, try to find 360s that have never been connected. So like uh there have been, like eBay listings for ones that are used, never connected to the internet, which is very few and far between. I mean, the 360 and the PS3, if you didn't hook it up to dude, the 360 was a multiplayer machine. That is, Call of Duty, all of that. So people were connected to the internet. Like it, yeah, that's that sucks. That sucks. So yeah, the Blades dashboard, man, I am very nostalgic for that. I think it was so cool. I think it just looks cool. It's so different than what we have now. Um, but yeah, it's that's crazy.
Super crazy. Also, this is less game related, but apparently because Space Battleship Yamato is coming up on its 50th anniversary, they've got a special project that they've been working on. So they announced on Saturday that uh, Hideki Anno will be planning and producing a 50th anniversary project uh, for Space Battleship Yamato. The project will include several book publications as well as screening event on October 6th, which would mark the official 50th anniversary of when the first episode aired back in '74.
Dang.
Which is I've watched the remake of the TV series, and I absolutely loved it. It changes a few things, but the overall plot's the same. But it's
Yeah.
different enough to be its own, and it's a I mean at this point it's a classic anime. Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
takes the
yeah.
old World War II battleship that is infamous for just being the largest battleship ever built, and then they turn it into we're just gonna throw a ship that looks like it should be in the sea into space, and then became a really well known space opera essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's glad to see some of these older shows when they get they start hitting like huge milestones and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, like Akira, for instance, when it hit its, I think it might have been the 30th anniversary for that when they released a bunch of stuff on the bonus features and like things that weren't in the film that were going to be in the there was a lot with like Akira. That's an anime movie that non-anime fans have watched and enjoyed. Like you don't have to be an anime fan whatsoever to watch Akira. That's how I feel. But did you know, because this just came out, but of course, you're watching this later on or listening, the ESRB rating for Silent Hill 2 Remake is out and suggests the game will have everything fans have come to know the survival horror franchise for. So this is like a pretty big deal. Did get the M rating, which is what we needed for this game. I was actually
yeah,
concerned that it would not get the M rating because
they
if
just
it
want to try to
did,
sell it more.
yeah, I was concerned that that was what was going to happen. But it is the M rating is for blood, violence, and sexual themes that are expected for the horror franchise, which is all stuff that like should be in it. Um, I am very very hesitant on this game. Mark, I don't know if you saw when I want to say this was during the PlayStation Direct that we talked about. I'm trying to remember what PlayStation calls it. I think uh, it was like their event,
Oh,
whatever.
like their State of the Union they
Oh
do.
yes, yeah, yeah, yep, yep. That they showed
Mhm.
off this, and
Oh,
then
sorry, I think they call it the State of Play. My
they
bad.
say to play. Yeah, I covered it live. I don't know why I forgot, but anyway, they showed this, and it looked horrible. It visually looked like it could have been like a PS3 game. And like
Yeah,
visuals don't mean everything to me, but also the combat looked really bad. Like this looked like, and so Konami is not developing this in-house, which is concerning. Um, I am very concerned about this game. I hope that this is not released until at least late 2025 because it looked like it needed a lot of work. And I'm not the only one that said that. There's videos out there and stuff where people have talked about that. There's just so much that did not look right with the game. It looked like it was almost like, why are you showing this game? Because it looks like you're midway through development. Like it's not it did not feel like it was to a level to be showed off. My
Yeah.
other concern is that during that they dropped a free game that you can download called the Short Message, I believe, and I think it's like a 4 to 5 hour game. I think I beat it in like 4 hours. I want to say it was around 4 hours I spent with it, maybe a little bit more, but it was really bad. It was really, really bad, and it was meant to be the. It was meant to be essentially like the notorious. I cannot remember the name of the game that was free. PT. So PT was a demo that is no longer available, and if it's on your system sells for a lot of money. It was a demo that was made that was kind of like the perfect Silent Hill, if you will. It was like the perfect it just was amazing. Like if you look at PT demo, like it was just absolutely amazing. And they took it down pretty quickly, and which was unfortunate, but basically Konami was trying to make that because like that was a demo, so it was obviously super short, but it showed something that could have been amazing. And PT was basically Silent Hill. It was a Kojima project. So it's just that Short Message that was trying to be PT because it was really short and it was free. Like that was their attempt
Yeah.
basically to be that. It was not good. It was really bad, very disappointing, and that dropped for free during that state of play when they also showed Silent Hill 2. So my hope is that they spend a lot more time with this game, that they don't plan to drop it this year because it definitely looked like it was still being baked and was not ready. And I cannot remember if we actually got like an expected release date. I felt like we did have an expected release date for this year, but have since heard nothing else. And like I said, my hope is because I want this to be the best it can be, right? This is
Yeah.
Silent Hill. Silent Hill games are very expensive. Silent Hill 2 is I don't know at the time. I just know prices have fluctuated, but it's around like $400. Somewhere around there. Silent Hill games are very expensive. There are other Silent Hill games that are more expensive than that. But my hope is that they do this right, and the Resident Evil remakes that they did for 2 and 3, 2 especially was amazing. They did it right. They took all the horror elements of 2, very, like scary games. You're going door to door. You don't know what's going to happen. You got dogs jumping through the window that when that happened to me, the dog I was playing, I think it was Resident Evil 0 on the GameCube, and dogs jumped through the window, and oh my god. I think I screamed playing it in the dark. It scared the crap out of me. They were scary games, man, especially for the time. They were real horror games. But basically Resident Evil 2 and 3. People debate on 3 being like a great game because they excluded a lot of the elements of 3, and also it's a short game, much shorter than 2. But in my opinion, isn't a bad game. It's still a good remake, but they cut down a lot of content, a lot that happens in 3, and it was just too short. But they did it right in improving that combat. Do you remember the Resident Evil, like the tank controls? Do you remember that? It was like a
A
thing for
little
a
bit.
lot of other games too,
Yeah.
but especially horror games, and really Resident Evil is like the notorious example for tank controls. So like it's like it's very hard to go back to. Um Very hard to control your character. You literally move around like a tank. That's why it's called tank controls. Like that's
Yeah.
how you. So they did modern movement and modern combat, but kept the horror elements and kept the story sort of intact, but did some different stuff to make it worth being a remake. And then gave added content later, and like they did stuff right with that. So my hope is that they do it with this because Silent Hill needs it. We haven't gotten anything from series in a long time besides that Short Message. But before that, I think the last thing was PT. I could be wrong, but I know we got this Silent Hill game on the Vita. I think we may have talked about this before, but it's like an over the head, kind of like Diablo RuneScape, that sort of it's like it's
Yeah.
over the head. It's not even I don't know why they even call it Silent Hill. It's terrible. And it was an expensive game, like $100 game. Uh, if the name is Silent Hill, it's expensive. The only one I could think that's a Book of Memories. Um, I actually played through the whole game too, but it's a dungeon crawling game. So that was the word I was looking for. But it was like one of those over the head sort of things where you walk through the doors and clear the next room or whatever, and gather, get gold and things like that. But I don't know if that was actually like the last game or PT. But yeah, we haven't gotten anything in a very long time. So it's a very beloved franchise, and my hope is that they do it right, basically.
Hopefully they will. That's I mean, that's always the hope though at the end of the day.
It's Konami. I'm not. I have I've lost so much respect for Konami. They hold so many franchises I love. New Contra came out. It has been patched, but I played the demo and I discussed it, and it was really bad on the Switch. And Nintendo is the platform you think of for Contra. Like that is just how it
Yeah.
is. I've heard other people say this too. They're like, if it's Contra, I want to play it on a Nintendo system. There have been Contra games on other systems that weren't on a Nintendo platform, but not many, not many. Um, but there definitely has been. But I'm just so upset with Konami. They got into the pachinko game. That's what they have been known for the last like
Which is gambling,
yeah,
essentially. It's
that's
the Japanese version of a slot machine.
yeah, that they make pachinko machines, and that is like their thing, and that is their income. So Konami has not been relevant for a while, which is unfortunate because like I said, they hold so many great franchises. One of the biggest being Castlevania, that they've done very little with. We got the collections that came out, which are amazing, but it's of no work really from them, other than them holding the rights and publishing. So yeah. Yeah, I really, really hope that they do this right. I have no faith in Konami anymore. It's unfortunate because they were such a massive company. They hold so many iconic franchises. I mean, stuff like Frogger and Metal Gear Solid, and like some
Oh yeah.
classic stuff going, way, way back. Um, but yeah, I hope that they do this right. I really do. It deserves it. The fans deserve it. I deserve it. So yeah. We'll see on the Silent Hill, but it did get that M rating, so there's some hope for that. Hopefully, hopefully it works out.
Yeah. So I don't know because everything's a little bit weird this week. Did you have like something pre-selected for like a game you wanted to talk about, or
W-
did you have anything prepped for that?
Well, yeah, kinda. So, I had something in thought, and these are so it's not just one game. It is the Rebirth series that was on WiiWare. So basically, they released some they were complete remakes, but basically like the Rebirth series. So there was Castlevania, um, and these were WiiWare only titles that have never been re-released, and these are phenomenal games. So you've got Contra Rebirth, and I bought all these back then. This was during the time. So when these came out, this was around the time of Insider 2. The official Nintendo forums Insider had closed down at that point, and I remember being on Insider 2. So this was like a big deal. Everybody was discussing this, and still to this day, people think that the Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth is one of the best Castlevania games ever. But this Rebirth series is just such a all three of these games are absolutely phenomenal. They're remakes that are done right and of classics. So the Contra Rebirth is really really cool too. I mean, they completely redid Contra from the ground up, and it's weird because they did it only for WiiWare, which is fine. But the problem is that WiiWare is unaccessible now. There are
Yeah.
ways to mod your Wii and stuff like that and to emulate it, but of physically this has still been stuck on WiiWare and has never been re-released. But if you look up these games, I mean, you can see straight up NES versus this complete remakes, and they're they're notorious for being very good. The people that know, they know. Like the Castlevania The Adventure is a Game Boy remake. So this game was on and I will say, because I had 1 and 2 back in the day, um, I will say that that first Castlevania: The Adventure, today is dang near unplayable. It is playable, but it's very rough, right? So
Yeah.
this was a big deal that they remade this because this was a Game Boy game where like they made a sequel to Castlevania: The Adventure and it improved a lot of stuff, but it was still on the Game Boy, so it's pretty limited and but it's a good game. But this they just completely redid from the ground up, Game Boy game. If you played this, you wouldn't know that it was a Game Boy game, and it's just phenomenal, phenomenal game. But my hope is that there's 3 of these. There's Gradius 2, which I have not mentioned, Gradius Rebirth, also done from the ground up. Gradius is a notorious series as well. I had some of them back in the day. I did not play the original when I was a kid, but I did get oh, I can't remember the first one I played, but the one that sticks in my head that I had and played all the time was Gradius Galaxies on the GBA. Uh, I don't know. Do you know about this game?
I don't know.
Okay, so this game is one I am on a mission, collecting wise. I very much like cut back on things. Like I look for deals, and if I'm very selective on what I buy. But this was a game that my grandma had got me, and I had played a couple of the Gradius games before this. This game blew me away for being a shmup. It's a side-scrolling shooter. Everything you could expect from a side-scrolling shooter, but it was just done right. It was just it felt right. It was such a good game. Um, it is a very expensive game now. I was shocked when I had looked it up. I can't remember exact eBay prices, but I was looking up and saved things from my childhood that meant something to me and that I had like fond memories of. Not
Yeah.
just buying everything like that. I'm not even talking about just video games. Like there is a, and I have looked at every convention I went to last year, and I went to a lot. Um, when I went to Final Boss Con last year, there was a vendor, and I swear, because I looked and was checking the catalog, they had every single Batman the Animated Series figures except the one I was looking for.
Oh,
Except
that's the war. That's rough.
and it's a silly one, right? It was one that was used in like one episode of the you know how they did that, right? Back in the day, like, and they still
Yeah.
do that now. They still do that now. Like the adult collectible market, like they still do that with those adult collectible items. But the anti-freeze Batman, I believe, was that the actual name for it. I want to say it was like anti-freeze. Um, but basically, it was a white. He had a white suit with I think black lines through it. Um, and that's it. I mean, it was very simple. It came with like a little attachment and yeah, I got to pull it up here now. It came with like a sort of looks like a glider attachment, but it was yeah, antifreeze Batman is what it's called. And I've been looking for this. My grandma got me this and I have a hilarious story about it. I and my family still talks about it to this day. I flushed it down the toilet and clogged the toilet probably about 30 times with this figure. It kept going through the toilet. And I hung on to this figure for a long time. And unfortunately, with a life event that happened, I won't really get into, I lost a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, I got a bunch of stuff I never got back. But this figure means so much to me. And I will that's all I can think about is being flushed down the toilet. Like I did it so many times. My grandma was so angry at me. It was at her house I did it. That's where I did it every single time. I was at my grandma's all the time, and I clogged her toilet so many times. Oh my
Crazy.
gosh, they still talk about it. But this Rebirth series, getting on another tangent, the Rebirth series, what I would love to see is that like limited run games or strictly limited, or one of them does like a 3 pack and is able to get the rights to do this from Konami because Konami is doing stuff like this now. They've got the Castlevania Advance collection. They've
Yeah.
got the other Castlevania collection that has Symphony of the Night and Oh gosh, I can't remember what the other one is called off the top of my head. I have it too. Very, very difficult game. It took me a long time to beat. But it's the anniversary. I know this is separate. Sorry, the anniversary collection has a bunch of the original games. Um, it has Castlevania, Simon's Quest, Dracula's Curse, for the Adventure, which is the Game Boy game I just talked about. Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, which is the sequel to what I was just talking about. That's the one that did a little bit better with the mechanics.
Yeah,
Bloodlines and Kid Dracula, which crazily enough is one of my favorite in the series. It's a spin-off game that's like a chibi version of Castlevania. Sorry, of Dracula. That's meant to be like a sort of origin story that was released on the Famicom. If you looked it up, you would just think Japan instantly. It's just
yeah,
it's very Japanese. It's chibi and it's a lot of fun. But my hope is that they do like a 3-pack for this, because Konami is now working with a lot of these companies to release these collections. Um, like I said, they got the Advanced Collection, they got this Anniversary Collection, and then the one that has Symphony of the Night, and I cannot remember the other one off the top of my head. But I would love to see that happen. So that's kind of my
yeah,
shout out for the week. So if you're interested, just look up the Rebirth series. You'll see the three that I'm talking about. The Castlevania is a standout, but the other two are great too. So
yeah. No, I know you're talking about that Gradius game as well.
yeah.
I pulled some up about 2 years ago under someone posted under the retro gaming, just pulled up where they had like posted like they had all the Gradius games. So there were
Oh
two NES games, the
yeah.
SNES. There's two for the Game Boy Color, one or just the regular Game Boy, my bad. One for the Game Boy Advance, the two PlayStation 2 games, and then two of
Yes.
the Japanese Famicom versions of the game, which I thought
Okay.
was pretty neat. Like it's really, really niche. You feel like at this point, a series that nobody would know about, since what the newest game was a PS2 game.
Yeah, yeah, and which was entirely different too. So I had that. So you mentioned the Game Boy. I don't remember which one, but I had one on the Game Boy. I played one on the Super Nintendo. Um, and I think those were probably the only two that I played before I got Galaxies. Were there others on the GBA?
From what he put, I can't read it in this picture, but there are two Game Boy games and then one Game Boy Advance game.
Okay, so just Galaxies. So I was looking on here to confirm. This is ridiculous. So I pulled up Gradius Galaxies, and I'm like, all right, let's check this out. $70 for box manual only. Here is a near mint complete copy. It's not even sealed, but near mint, $288. You can get a loose copy for around 35 to 40 bucks plus shipping is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an average of like 35 bucks. For a loose GBA game, I mean, it's not the worst. There are ones that are way more expensive, but for me, it's like I if it's a game like this, especially with the EverDrive, right? Like I've got the EverDrive,
Yeah,
so I can play it now. So the
you want
games
the
that
box.
I want it complete, yeah. If it's one that has a I only care about the ones that have a meaning to me that I had during my
Yeah.
childhood and really loved and enjoyed. And I played this game a lot, like a lot. And you had to start from the beginning every single time and, work your way. And I finally beat it. I remember being really, stoked that I finally beat the game. And you remember games like that, right? That you just
Oh yeah.
constantly play it over months and months and months. And
It
finally
took
you
you
beat the
forever to
game.
beat.
Yeah.
You'd be stuck on like one boss for like 2, 3 months straight. You just couldn't beat him, and you get frustrated. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop playing this game now.
It took me around 6 months to beat Ocarina of Time on the 64 the first time because I was stuck on the water temple for so long. I could not get through the water
I think
temple.
that's like what
Everybody,
everybody talks
yeah.
about. It's that infamous
And
water temple level.
I was very young. Like I was very young playing that.
Where it's like now as an adult, you're like, I kind of know what I'm doing. You can
Yeah.
pick up on the mechanics really quickly. It's like, all right, it might be frustrating, but I could get through this. As a kid, you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
So, all right, here's the topic to bring up. I hate water levels in any game that I've ever played. I can only think of like one example that I like water levels, and that's Donkey Kong Country because you have the what are the fish called with the long I can't remember what the fish
I
are
know what
called.
you're
They have
talking
the
about, but I
long
can't think of
spike.
it. Yeah.
You get to ride them, and it feels good in that game. but just about
Yeah.
any Mario water levels, oh my god.
You said that because you thought that was like that's like the only game I actually liked the water levels on was Super Mario Bros. 3. Like, I actually I liked
I did
maybe
not,
because
I
it was the
didn't.
only levels that were kinda
Well, if you
somewhat
had the
difficult,
frog suit if you had the frogs yeah, I guess the frog suit made it not so
but even
bad
without the frog suit, I didn't I mean, they
without the
were
frog
a
suit.
struggle, but they were, like, iconic to me.
No, see, not to me, I hated water they are
And
iconic, but
I also really like the music in those levels as well.
dude, oh my god, the music though, yes. No, listen, look, when you get time, and for listeners, please listen to the Donkey Kong Country 3 soundtrack. The water levels, like did I they made such a oh my god, the music in that game is just insane. And the
But, of course,
music for
they'd
all
make
3 is great, and like people like 3 is by no means bad, and it's actually, believe it or not, my favorite. Most people say it's like the lesser of the 3 because it's Dixie Kong. Um, but I think it's my favorite. There is a little nostalgia in that, but I still have played through all 3 again, many times, many times, and as an adult. It's a game you can beat in an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, couple
yeah.
hours. Um, Dixie's Kong Quest. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Dixie's Conquest. That it's my favorite of the 3, but the music, oh my god, the water level music, man, holy crap! Like it's one you could jam on the car. It's like that. What you're making a kids game? Like what?
Y
This music is
y
so good. You outdid yourselves. They
you
had
did not have to go this
you
hard.
didn't. That's what I'm saying. It went hard, man. Like I don't know if I know some of these companies that put out this music vinyls. There's this one called Pixel. I can't remember the name that specifically puts it out. There are some companies. I don't know if there are any Nintendo ones though, because I'm not sure if Nintendo's ever licensed for vinyl. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any like that are like officially licensed. And like obviously it would be very hard to do with Nintendo. To do like unlicensed one. I'm sure that there are some that were like sold on a small scale, but my God, I would buy that on vinyl, and I don't buy vinyl anymore. I got very addicted. I know like the Mario Brothers movie has a vinyl, but that's like the only one I'm aware of for like an actual Nintendo property. There may be there I'm sure they might be out there, but like I said, I'm not aware of them. But the Mario Brothers movie soundtrack is also a banger, and that is on vinyl. I very much contemplated buying it. Uh, I didn't though. But yeah, and if they had Donkey Kong Country 3 on vinyl, I'd be all over that. There are so many cool games that have gotten vinyls, and it's like a whole thing. Okay, so like I'm looking right here. This is cool. Now, Nintendo doesn't have to have anything to do with this, but Johto Legends from Pokemon Gold and Silver, there's a 2 LP vinyl set for $42, and it looks beautiful. Like the vinyls are like Pokeballs. It's it's really cool. This is I
Oh,
am
yeah, it is
8
dope.
bit.
I was able to pull it up. It looks dope.
Yeah, yeah, that is so cool. And of course from my favorite generation. I absolutely love it. That is
Looks like
so
the
cool.
actual cover or something like has like a map of the region and like that in old Japanese
Dude,
style.
I
It looks dope.
yeah, that is really cool. And it
Or I
looks like
pulled it up on the IAm8Bit.com site.
yeah,
They were selling it for like 43 dollars something like that.
I feel like that's a pretty fair price. Vinyl, I mean, there's a large community for vinyl collectors. See, like there's a few that there's like a few things that would really want to make me buy a vinyl for, like that I just absolutely love. I know Mega Man has gotten vinyl, and those I really regret not buying some of the Mega Man Battle Network vinyl because there's 6 Battle Network games, I believe. There might
Yeah.
I guess if you count the spin-offs, I think there might be 7. I could be wrong on that. I think there's yeah, I think because there's a Japanese it never came over here where it's a Battle Network and Star Force crossover. So
Yeah.
Battle Network and they're set, hundreds of years apart, I think 100 years apart. And it's uh, game with both of them in it. It's a Battle Network Star Force crossover. Anyway, I know that a lot of the Mega Man games have gotten vinyl, and like I'm looking here on the IAm8Bit website, and man, they've got some for things that you wouldn't think would ever get a vinyl, like Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, which is a very underrated game, by the way. Super fun indie game. Very, and it got a sequel. I have it downloaded from Game Pass. I need to play it because eventually it'll get removed. Um, but yeah, really, really cool. There's so many, man. What's a franchise? I know Metroid for you, but is there any other franchises, anything, any pop culture where like it would make you buy a vinyl? Because I know you're not like a vinyl collector, but is there?
I don't know.
There's a Conker's
Maybe
Bad Fur Day vinyl on here that looks amazing. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Yeah, that is very cool. It looks beautiful. Like the cover they made for it. Oh my gosh. So cool, man. I love Conker's Bad Fur. That is really cool, and that's a 2 LP as well. The more LPs the better because you have less compression on the music, so the more vinyl it comes with the better. That is really, really cool, man. It's sold out, unfortunately. I can see why. I can see why. That's
oh, definitely.
but is there any French? I'm sorry, I was asking you. Is there any
No, you're
franchise
fine.
for you that you can think of?
I was thinking there was one, and
Ooh, only one.
I have to try to pull it up and see if I can actually find one out there.
What about like the
Because
Tank Girls?
there was one official Tenchi Muyo vinyl that was put out called Midwinter's Summer Festival, but
Ooh.
I can't even find it right now, even on eBay or something like that. I know it exists, but I don't know how common it actually is.
Well, if you
Uh,
can't find it, that's probably not common at all, right?
I can find the CD for it, but not the vinyl.
And you're positive it got a vinyl?
Yeah, because I've seen it before. I've seen people actually play it and stuff like that and talk about it. Uh, actually, you say that it's the
I
girls
got
in
pulled it right
Panzer.
up. Yeah, I was gonna ask you, would that make you? Would you buy a vinyl for that?
I would probably look into it. I mean, to be fair, I could find most of those songs without a vinyl because like half the music they use are old military songs and marchings and stuff like that.
You can find any song without a vinyl. The whole thing with vinyl is that it's an analog sound, so it's not you can't listen to analog on your computer. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just you'd have to. I don't know how much experience you have with vinyl. It's an amazing format for
not a
music.
lot.
It's my favorite, but if you get into it like I see, I told you before, and I talked about it many times, but like I collected every form of media at one point. So I mean, I was collecting books, I was collecting manga, I was collecting CDs, all forms of music. I was collecting um 8 tracks. I was, everything. I was collecting cassettes, movies in every format from VHS to HD DVD, to Betamax, and I collected every form of media, everything, because I love it all. I legitimately love stuff from every form of media, and I do enjoy like throwing a Betamax in there. It is like a special experience. Like Laserdisc is another one that I absolutely love, and I was collecting that hardcore. Unfortunately, the thing with that is that it's very prone to disc rot, and
Yeah,
it's scary when they're a lot of money. They're a lot of money now. They're very sought after. A lot of cinephiles, movie maniacs. Laserdisc is their favorite format. And VHS is the big one now, but like Laserdisc has a very strong community, and a lot of people prefer Laserdiscs over over like DVDs. It is like a very special format, and there are anime that got released on Laserdisc, believe it or
oh
not.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. Yeah,
Yeah, and they go for a lot of money. But also, speaking of Laserdisc, one of my holy grails is the Laser Active. Are you aware of this system?
I am not.
So, this system is a Laserdisc player slash it plays its own exclusive games. It has Laserdisc games slash it actually has built-in slots for cartridges for gaming systems that are in the form of like a little inserted cartridge. So you put the cartridge into the laser active, and there's a Sega Genesis, Turbo Graphics, and then there's a karaoke module that you can buy for this.
Of course
And
there is.
yeah, no, I mean, like, look, this and it. I have been looking. I'll put it this way. I've collected for a very long time, and I started collecting when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and I have been when I learned about this system, which I want to say is probably like 15 years ago. I would say for about 10 years, I have actively been looking for this system. There's a guy on Facebook, I'm friends with him, and he's notorious in a lot of Facebook groups, especially for like the PCFX and Turbo Graphics and stuff like that, right? Like he repairs those and mods them and does stuff like that. So a lot of people know him and go to him. He's got like 50 of these just sitting. Because here's the thing people are doing, and they're doing it the right way, and I have not done it. I need to do it. There are these websites where you can order or where you can buy from like Yahoo Japanese auctions. People are using them very actively. And basically you can work through a third party to like gather the stuff that you buy and ship it to you, and like they're buying this stuff like dirt cheap from Japan, like dirt cheap,
yeah,
and then shipping it all in one go. So like they'll collect this stuff to like a warehouse, like this third party shipper, and get it all together and then ship it out to you when you're ready. Like you can get it when you're ready. But yeah, like the Japanese Yahoo auctions are very prevalent, and I know people that are getting just like stellar deals. I don't know enough. I guess I should do some research, but like a lot of these holy grails for me, I see people get for like pretty cheap. Like, and when you're talking about something like this, like dirt cheap for this would be like, I mean, I would beg to say that $300 is dirt cheap for this thing because it goes well over $1,000, and the modules are like very expensive themselves, especially the Turbo Graphics module. As you are aware, the Turbo Graphics already is a very expensive game, so this is a very rare and sought after way to play the Turbo Graphics, and often I hear people say this is the best way and in a retro way to play the Turbo Graphics, but like the controller for it is super expensive, and I think the karaoke modules it may be the cheapest thing for it they can get, but it's still not cheap. Like it's still sought after. Um,
yeah.
but this laser active is just it's so cool. Pioneer put it out, and they're called PACs. PAC is what they're called. But they're modules that you insert, and there's a Mega Drive one slash Sega Genesis. Obviously, there is the NEC TurboGrafx slash PC Engine. There is the karaoke one that has two microphone inputs on it. The retail price for it at the time was $350. But then there's also, which this is one I learned about just a few years ago, there is a computer interface pack for it that turns this into like a home computer, and at the end of the day it's a laser disc player, and this turns it into a home computer. So it introduced a computer program called the Laser Active Program Editor on a floppy disk for DOS and classic Mac OS. The floppy disks had some sample programs created with the editor for use with the first five laser discs in the Tenchi Muyo anime series. Believe it or not, that's listed here on the Wikipedia. So this
Crazy.
editor you could use to edit the first five episodes of Tenchi Muyo. That's pretty cool. It also had this is why the system is just so crazy. It also had 3D goggles. It looks like you can employ active shutter, which is good. Active shutter is good. It's
Oh
not the
yeah.
crappy, cyan and blue or whatever the actual colors were. It was compatible with the six ready Laserdisc ROM software titles like 3D Museum, Vajra 2, which is like I want to say that's like an anime style game, or like anime based game or something. I think it has an anime cover at least. I don't know. Virtual Cameraman 2, Dr. Pulo no Toteki Video, uh, one called Goku, and 3D Virtual Australia. I want to know more about this Goku from 1995. I've never heard of this. But yeah, the goggles are also compatible with the Master System and are interchangeable with the Sega Scope 3D glasses. They can also be used to view 3D images from auto stereograms. So interesting. Yeah, and those that's another thing I've been after for a while. The Sega Scope 3D glasses. I used to have it with a previous collection, but they're for the Master System. They're actually the Famicom had 3D glasses, or 3D headset with 3D games, and then the Sega Scope 3D glasses, which it's like a basically just glasses that plug into the system, and there were some 3D capable games for it, and they're actually good. It's like good 3D for the time, especially, and yeah, really, really cool stuff, man. I've looked for this system for so long, like at the point where I've pretty much given up because the prices just keep going up and up and up and up. Um, Almost to where it's like just it's like at an unreachable price. So I would have to like win a Yahoo auction or something to ever get the
Yeah,
system. So, but yeah, you got to dive more into the NEC stuff because I know we
we
talked a
talked
ton
about it.
we talked a ton about it. That
Oh,
was my
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
I clipped 60 seconds of that discussion from that podcast that I got to put out. But super cool stuff for sure. What else do we got?
Uh, have you ever heard of an anime called Mobile Fighter G Gundam?
I have, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I mean, it's kind of somewhat a little bit rushed, but because I think this is actually one of the few I actually have it both on DVD and on Blu-ray, because they Funimation, when they still existed,
Ooh.
published it, in two different sets of 25 and 25. It's pretty much the only time you saw a mixture of Gundam mix up with the Super Sentai type thing, where it's like robots doing like extremely exaggerated things as they go out and fight. Because the concept is, instead of it being like a more war type thing, uh, you start dealing with the mobile suits are controlled by actual people fighting in them, doing martial arts in the robot, and the
Yeah.
robot would mimic kind of what you do type thing, which is
Hmm.
was a really unique spin on it, as well as it stereotypes every country. So the basic concept is we've eliminated war by these every country who has like a colony in space. Uh, some might call it like obviously the main characters from Neo Japan. You need Neo America, Neo Russia, and every other country in between. And for the most part, like every country's mobile suit is based off some kind of is designed in such a way it's like a stereotype of said country to some degree, and it's just super over the top, type
Okay.
acting.
Okay.
I think the
All
most
right.
infamous, and I don't have a way to show that, but the most infamous of what people talk about is Mexico's or Neo Mexico's mobile suit is called Tequila Gundam. It's
Oh
a
my
Gundam that kind
god.
of takes inspiration from like a
Oh my
cactus,
gosh.
but it's got the sombrero on its head and stuff like that.
That is
Where it definitely
hilarious.
plays to the stereotype where like Egypt's is Pharaoh Gundam and stuff like that, and then can't remember what country it was that their mobile suit looks like a windmill.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think it's like one of the maybe like Finland, like New Finland, or I might be getting that completely wrong. But
Ooh.
the idea is it's got these stereotypes and it's essentially like there's like a tournament type style to the fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a really it's super strays away from like the standard mobile suit type trope and stuff like that. But it does its own thing. I think it's a kind of like a fun type thing to watch. Just I don't want to say necessarily shut your brain off because there's still a story to
I've
it, but
yeah,
it
I've
doesn't.
watched
The show
I've
doesn't take
watched
itself
it.
too seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've watched it. It's yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's of the time though, right? Like
All
it's
from like the early '90s. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it tequila Gundam like that's that's
Great
cool,
name.
man. That's cool. Like the Gundam's drunk all the time. I yeah, that is That's very interesting for sure.
And it's one of the earlier ones. Like I
Yeah.
know, kind of grew
It's
up
the
when they was on
first one I
Toonami.
watched. That
It was a,
hold on. That
it was
or oh god.
it was a toss up
Wing
between
Gun
that and
Wing.
yeah, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. Both
Yeah.
kind of aired around the same time on
One of
Toonami in
the
the early 2000s.
one of those two I watched first. Yeah. It might have been Wing that I watched first, but then I I want to say the third one I watched was Unicorn maybe. I want to say it was the third. I also
That one
watched all of
came out
SD
years after the
Gundam.
fact.
Yeah,
I didn't
no,
care
I'm
for the
just talking
SD
about like
in
I
general. Yeah,
watched quite a few, and I've also played a lot of Gundam games. A lot of the Gundam Warriors, I think it's called,
yeah.
games, and there's been
Actually,
some
the
others.
no, it's the Dynasty Warriors because the only one that I have is from the 360, which is
Yeah,
Dynasty Warriors
Dynasty Wars
Gundam,
Gundam.
the
That
first one.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Which
And
are
then
just a a fun games, but it's a hack and slash. If you don't
it's
like
that
hack and slash
Dynasty
games, you're not gonna
Warriors.
like them. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty burnt out on them now because basically
you played
we
the
got
Zelda ones.
Zelda and then the Fire Emblem, and I'm like, and I played the Zelda. I played Hyrule Warriors on all three systems. I
I
played
hear
all
the
of them.
original Hyrule Warriors is such a big. It's like a long game.
It's okay. Yeah, the original. Then talk about what they so they they had the original on Wii U, right?
Yeah,
Then they ported it with a bunch of extra like a bunch of extra content to the 3DS. And then they brought that version over to the Switch with the definitive edition with more content. So you talk about a game that you can play probably 700 hours and no problem. And I can't play a game like that. I don't dislike those games. I mean, I obviously played them, and then I played Fire Emblem Warriors, and then they made the second one, which I still haven't played. I have that still sealed because I'm so burnt out on Warriors games. I'm so burnt out on them. But back then, back then, I love the Dynasty Warriors Gundams games. I played 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure if they made any more than that, but I played those three, and I liked them. I liked them for what they were. People were kind of mixed on them. They're Warriors games at the end of the day. I don't remember them getting very good reviews, but I enjoyed them because I think what it was is that I just wanted something Gundam. I wanted to be able to
yeah.
play something Gundam, and like there wasn't very many options here. Like there was some other stuff, but there wasn't a lot. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
So
it's gotten bigger in recent years, but
I know
there's a
there's a
lot of
lot
them.
of Gundam games I haven't gotten to play because there's quite a few of them. Trying to think of what the last one was that I played. I actually have it downloaded on my PS5. Let's see. I think it came out in 2021 or 2022. Uh, cannot remember what it's called. I know I've got Breaker 4, but it's not that. Uh, SD Gundam Alliance. It's not that one. I do have that though. Um, I cannot remember what it's called. I've got it downloaded, but I played basically just through the tutorial,
Yeah.
and it's cool. It's
I've
really
got a few games, some of which are digital only, because I think I got one for free when I downloaded it. But I can't off the top of my head. It takes place during the original
wait.
timeline, the
So are you
original
thinking
war.
of? Is it on modern platforms?
I have it on my PS5.
Yeah.
I could
So
try to,
that's what I have then too. I just can't think of the
but
name of it.
there's a few games on the
But it's
PS5 and
like a
PS4.
multiplayer. It's like a multiplayer game. Uh
Yeah, it's just killing me. I can't think of the name
oh,
of it.
this isn't a PS4 game. This is a PS5 game. Um, I've
You
I've
able to
got 'em
find it?
I'm trying to. There's a lot. There's a lot. I'm pulling up PS5. So there's 4 on the PS5. Like I said, I have Battle Alliance Breaker 4. It is Gundam. I think Gundam Evolution is the one. Pretty
I think
sure.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up to make sure what the.
As I was trying to scroll
Yeah,
through my
yeah, yeah,
PlayStation library. Okay,
yeah.
so
Gundam
the other one,
Evolution.
so I had played that one, but the other one I was thinking of was Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy,
Oh man,
which
is it
takes
that
place
one then?
during the original 1 Year War. Where there's like X amount of like episodes for it, or kind of however they did it. It's a story. It's story heavy type thing,
Is it
but it takes
okay? So
place.
this isn't the one that's
Uh,
like multiplayer,
no,
correct? Okay, so
no,
I'm
it is
Evolution is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that
Um,
one is story based where it takes place. It's a bunch of girls on the uh, it's not the Federation, but the Xeon side of the 1 Year War from the original show. It's
okay.
kind of where that takes place as
I
like a
I
side
would
story.
I would want to play that. I do recommend though. I thoroughly enjoyed. I did not play any DLC or didn't get anything with the DLC, but that SD Gundam Battle Alliance is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you can find it pretty cheap if you don't care about PC. I think I saw it on there. There was a PC key somewhere. I think I saw pop up for like $12. Um, but it is on the PS5. It is like a hacky slash game, but obviously Gundam. It isn't a Warriors game, but it's that
Yeah.
style. You know what I mean? It works for it. It's fun, dude. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. To me, it's like, man, this is like a Gundam game I've like really wanted for a long time. And you might hear like the SD Gundam part and like be turned off, but you don't have to worry about that. But
No,
it
fair
is
enough.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. Does have the SD mobile suits, but it works in the style of like like an actual Gundam game. I mean
Yeah.
SD, you know what I mean? Like I love SD Gundam though personally. I'm a big fan. I watched it all when it was new on Cartoon Network and
Just
really enjoyed it. I like
yeah.
that weird chibi. I've always been into that. I've always liked when they turn something that like shouldn't be into chibi,
Well, I
like
think SD is supposed to, or Chibi, kind of like the SD. I think
super
it's actually like
deformed.
super deformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just shrinks it down to like a little plush type thing that you would buy for like $10 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really cool. I always liked when they do that to franchises that like shouldn't have it. But I did want to ask you, since we're on the topic of an anime based game, have you played any of the Yu Yu Hakusho games?
Those ones I haven't. No.
Okay, there's one specifically because I had it for the GBA. I believe it's called Battle Tournaments. I want to say, uh, there's Spirit Detective, which yes, I had. I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, when it was exactly. Oh
I so dumb.
yeah.
It gave me the Dark Tournament, which is just the arc.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember what the specific one was called. Um, Yeah, I can't remember what that specific one was called, but
You
there's
know what?
Spirit Detective on the GBA, which is a lot of fun. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I there's I can't remember, man, for the life of me. And believe it or not, Atari put out all these games. Oh, Tournament Tactics, that's the one. Yu Yu Hakusho Tournament Tactics. So there
Oh,
was
okay.
also Dark Tournament, where that's where I was getting names mixed up on the PS2. So I did play that as well. That's like a 3D fighter, which is really cool for Yu Yu Hakusho because I mean, if you know, you know the characters and it works well. I thought that was a great game. But Spirit Detective, really, really good. Highly recommend. And then I remember importing this particular game, and I couldn't play it basically. But I imported it because I love the series, and we got like minimal content for it. But it's
Yeah.
Ankoki Fujutsu Kaihen. I imported it just to import it. I actually imported quite a few games. I imported the Pokemon TCG game, and then there was I'm almost positive that I did this. Pokemon, I believe there was a sequel in Japan only, and I imported that as well, and I got them dirt cheap on eBay. Y- yeah, looks yeah, yeah. Pokemon trading card game. Two, the invasion of Team GR. So yeah, I imported that too. That was a little easier to play because basically what you do is you just mash the A button through all the text, and then you play the card game.
Yeah.
Like that's what I had to do. So the reason I got the first one, which came out here, is because I think we got it for like $10 shipped, complete in box, back in the day. Like I was a kid,
Yeah.
so we got
It's
it
not
cheap.
bad.
Yeah, my grandma was like all over eBay all the time. She was into jewelry and buying jewelry all the time, so she knew how to get around eBay, and it was a good time. So, is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think that was like the last big thing, just because I know it's like try to keep the tradition. Like, hey, here's one of the anime that I have that I play, and like I happen to physically at least have one of the games that's tied in that I haven't even thought about because I haven't played it in years. It's one of the funny enough, this is like one of the early games that I got when I actually got a 360.
Was that
Just because like, oh yeah,
yeah.
was that one, and I over the years kicked myself in the butt because there was a time where I got rid of like half of my 360 games at one point. Like
Yeah.
I never, it
Dude,
wasn't into
I
collecting. I
yeah.
never played them. They were just eating space, and I'm like, yeah, there's a good 20, 30, 40 bucks here worth of stuff that I traded in.
When did you trade to GameStop?
Well, yeah, where else am I gonna get rid of it too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did many GameStop trade-in regrets where you get absolutely nothing. You trade in
To be
15
fair,
games to get one new game.
people underrepresent like how that whole process works. I think GameStop gets too much crap for it. Because to be fair, they have to then turn around and make a profit, and to some degree, that game at
I'm
that moment might be
aware.
worth a lot. And it doesn't matter what condition; they'll take it in complete crap or brand new condition. So I mean, like they're gonna give you something other than that, or it's like, well, you could try to sell it on your own, and that's gonna be a headache and a struggle. And I think there's a miss. GameStop, they deserve a lot of crap they get, but when it comes to the game trade-in, there's a lot of misrepresentation, or people think their game's worth more than it actually really is, considering that GameStop has to make sure it works, potentially, refurbish something and then turn around and, sell it and make a profit at the end of the day.
I no, I mean, I sell Macari, I get it. But I can't defend like the price points they give. Now, when they run their trade-in specials, that's a good time to trade. That's a fair price, I believe. So, they were doing that a lot during like 2020 to 2022, and I thrifted all the time. So at one point I collected like 17 copies of Wii Sports. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember then, but they were highly sought after, even though there were millions and millions of them out there. People wanted it because they were getting back into gaming, and like that was a game that captured the whole family audience, and so they were selling for like 25 to 30 bucks, and like GameStop would give you like $17 a copy loose, like it didn't have to have a case. So like that was during like a trade-in special. Like that's a banger when you get it for like a loose disc for like 2 3 bucks. So like that added up. When they do the trade-in specials, they're great. But I did want to bring up one more thing just because I've been wanting to talk about it. Um,
Yeah.
do you remember Rurouni Kenshin, right?
Yeah, I was never big into it, but I remember it,
Okay.
watching some episodes.
So Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho are my two favorite animes. And did you ever watch the Samurai X OVAs?
That I didn't ever get the chance to watch.
Definitely worth it. I feel like,
It's supposed to
especially
be
for
like his
this,
background, from
yeah.
what I understand.
Yep, yep, it's background because like in the anime, he's very much doesn't like to pull the blade and like he fights with flipping the blade around to hit
The
with
back
like
of the blade,
yeah,
the dull
yeah,
blade, yeah.
yeah. So like that's how he is. But in Samurai X, he's not that way. So you see like the backstory and why he becomes that way. So it's like this transformation. He saw all the war and everything going on and like had was having the flashbacks and the things that happen, and oh my god, it's just such a phenomenal series. um I definitely recommend. Did you ever watch it when it was on Tanami at all?
That's where I would have watched it.
Yeah, man, I highly recommend, like, if there's anything that you want to try to make time for, anime wise, like that's one that I would definitely look into. They actually made, I have not watched them, but there are some live action versions of it in Japan. They made some live action versions. And I want to say that there's two of them. I could be wrong, but there is oh my god. Oh my god. Listeners, there is woo, there is 5 of them. There are 5 Japanese Rurouni Kenshin. Good god. All right, so from what I've heard, Uh, I don't know about all 5. I can't contest all 5. I only thought there was 2. Uh, from what I've heard, it's like a very mixed bag. Like, I've heard people say it's like it's not terrible. Other people like it's. I do feel like this should be an anime that's easy to translate. Like, I feel like a Hollywood version of this, like, it should be pretty easy to translate. Having read the manga and watching the anime plus watching the OVAs, like this shouldn't be a hard one to do. Like Yu Yu Hakusho would be like a more difficult one to do. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess if you want to check out Roni Kenshin 1 through 5 films, holy cow.
Apparently, there's a second TV series that started airing July of last year.
No way.
Yeah,
What's it called?
just the 20 Rurouni Kenshin, pretty much.
What, 2023?
Yeah, it started airing July 7th, 2023. It says the present, but there's only 24 episodes. I don't know if it
Oh,
was if it's
whoa.
already done or not.
Whoa. Official trailer.
Yeah, because the
Okay.
most recent episode came out. That 24th episode came out December 15th.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at the trailer. Animation looks like not bad.
I mean, it's gonna be different. It's gonna go
I
from
mean,
hand drawn like the old series to digital.
it looks like they did it right from that to this. Like it doesn't look bad. It looks I see him doing like the manga stylized lines when they move and yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, then I have to watch this. I didn't know
I
about
guess the
this.
curiosity is because just cursory look. I don't know if if they restarted it or it's continuing on the original show, or it's
Yeah,
based off any one of the mangas that came out years after the anime.
Aniplex put it out too. Interesting. Yeah, I have to look. It looks like it premiered at Anime Expo 2023 last year in the US.
But I mean,
Wow.
hey, we you learned something new.
Yeah,
Maybe that'll
that's
help you
really
get back into it.
yeah. I'll absolutely have my list of stuff to check out with the anime, and this is on there. Like I said, I've been wanting to check out that Chainsaw Man because I've heard so many good things, and I haven't watched My Hero Academia. And what was the other big one that you were like, you got to watch this
I
last
think it was
week?
One Punch Man.
Yeah, One Punch Man. Yeah. So that is on my list. I think this is at the top of my list because I
Oh,
love
definitely.
Rurouni Kenshin. But is this something that you would check out like the original series? Would you check out like the OVAs
Uh,
and
yeah, I probably need to get back into actually rewatch it because it's one of those good series. It's just I
hmm
never actually sat down and actually watched it.
yeah, I think it's one that you would absolutely love for sure. Like it's up your alley. Like you like a lot of those like Tanami anime that aired on Toonami, like a lot of like really good
Yeah,
stuff. And this one it was very heavy on story, and then obviously in the OVA, like a lot of backstory. Like it's very heavy on story, like in it pulled your emotions in so many different ways. Like it's just so good. I don't want to ruin anything, but like, it has a good plot, and I recommend watching the OVAs too. I think the third OVA was the one I did not like. I want to say I can't remember exactly. There was one that I didn't like, but it's worth checking out. I mean, maybe start the OVAs so that you're aware of the backstory, and then you get it when the series starts why he is the way that he is. Like it makes sense.
yeah,
You see the transformation of a human being that's been through hell and back. So
yeah.
yeah, I
And
like it.
I just want to say that I did finally find it. The series readapts the original manga story, so it's not a
Oh,
continuation. It's a readaptation.
okay. I mean,
So they're
well,
essentially redoing it. I don't know if there's gonna be
based
changes
straight
because
on
I
the
don't know
anime. I mean, based on the manga.
on the manga. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
I
The
mean, I guess if you had 20 years between the show, you might as well do a soft reset.
yeah. I mean, the manga is different than the anime, significant. Well, I wouldn't say significantly, but it's one that's like different
Maybe
enough
they'll
that I
actually
can recommend both.
yeah, or hopefully this time it'll be more accurate to the actual original manga.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the anime is amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
It is my favorite. Yu Yu Hakusho, I think, is probably second, but they're both there in competition. I'm just like so attached to this anime. It's not even funny. There was a lot of stuff from that era that just captured me. Like we talked about card captors and things like that. Like I love it. I really love that old hand drawn style of anime. So anything
oh yeah,
else?
definitely. No, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about. I think that pretty much covers what we're doing. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's gonna be shorter episode this week,
yeah,
unfortunately, because it's kind of pre-recorded. Because other life kind of gets in the way sometimes. But
yep. So we appreciate everybody watching or listening. Um, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, but you can also go to the GameJunctionPodcast.com. That will show all platforms for audio that we are on. And if you want to go to Linktree/Game Junction, that is linktr.ee/Game Junction. That is every platform that we are on. Um, put stuff out on social media every day. That's where you're going to find all the promo for stuff coming up and the things that we're going to be doing. There's going to be a lot more hinting at things that are coming up on there as far as videos and content and stuff like that. But we have exclusive stuff on there every single day. And of course, if you want to become a YouTube member, that helps out the channel and the podcast very much. Everything that does come through funnels back through to support the show. And we appreciate all of you who are members. And we appreciate all the downloads as well. So if you do find us on an audio platform and you enjoy the show, be sure to download because it helps us a lot. Every download counts and every person counts. So we appreciate everybody listening and watching. So you guys have a great night, day, evening, whatever it is, and be sure to drink your water.
Peace out.